The gameplay is only part of the picture because Celeste's soundtrack makes the game. The composer is Lena Ryan. She has the soundtrack up on Bandcamp, and man is it fantastic. Each level gets its own unique sound, spanning many different movements. It does a great job theming each level to be very memorable. I really appreciated how the soundtrack and level design interplay with each other. Some of my favorite moments are reaching the quiet, serene spots in Forsaken City. Or how the music would quickly shift from calm and slow to intense and fast as the wind speed changed in the 4th level. Don't get me wrong, the pixel artwork is pretty great in this game, and each level looks unique, but it's only thanks to Lena Ryan's work that each level feels unique. Each track carries an emotional weight that tells you about the characters, what they're going through, and what they're feeling.
I think the moment that resonated most strongly for me was a bit towards the end of the 4th chapter, the gondola ride. All of these moments, I feel, in the game, there's these sort of very story-heavy moments where it's not just platforming. It's like, here's the exposition points that are sort of the big hurdles that Madeline has to overcome. And so, in a lot of ways, that gondola part is very much a hurdle that she has to get over. And for me, connecting into that, like, it's literal for her. It's literally she's suffering a panic attack or anxiety attack, and needs to center herself and really find herself to be able to proceed. And for me, like, I also suffer from anxiety and depression, so I identify with Madeline a lot in just kind of the struggles that she's dealing with. And so musically, when I was scoring that part, like, I really wanted to just hone in on the key parts that would make it feel like an anxiety attack and make the player uncomfortable, and to really put them in that position to kind of feel those things.
If you go and check out the soundtrack, I highly recommend Resurrections, Scattered and Lost, and Star Jump. I would recommend In the Mirror, but that song and level was way too creepy. But there is actually a good reason for that, because this song is actually being played in reverse. A recurring motif in the game is the mirror. You first encounter one in the ruins of the 2nd level, a moment that marks a shift in gameplay and tone. Following this, occurrences of mirrors and reflections are repeatedly associated with negativity and are, in a sense, antagonists in the story. Then you enter the Mirror Temple. This place is very unsettling, and it's not just because Madeline has a bad feeling. You feel it as a player. The music is calm and somber, but there are mirrors all around you, hanging on the walls and detailed right into the background. The entire time, you were just waiting for something bad to inevitably happen, and it builds a lot of tension. Not to mention, this level is a huge departure from the game so far, where you're able to freely explore multiple rooms to try to find a way further into the temple. And the deeper you go in, the darker it gets. This all comes to a head when you get sucked into the mirror dimension. The music shifts dramatically and becomes really frenetic and unsettling and kind of anxiety-inducing. But take a listen to this middle part of it. If it sounds familiar, that's because it's the same theme we heard in the beginning level, Quiet and Falling, only played backwards. If you reverse a song, you can hear it emerge really nicely. In fact, if you line up the reverse track with Quiet and Falling, you'll find they line up almost perfectly. It's really hard to tell in the beginning through all the noise and chaos, but at around the 233 mark, you can hear the strike of the D note in both tracks. And slowly, the chaos pulls away to reveal that the familiar track had been there underneath the whole time. And if that wasn't symbolic enough for Madeline's struggle with her emotional distress suffocating her, the verse in the track also reveals a hidden message.
Sometimes I don't really know what's going on anymore. I don't know who I am. I just look in the mirror and don't know who I'm looking at or who's looking at me.
So this song and soundtrack are pretty brilliant, and Lana Rain did an amazing job here. I really like the mix of gamey chiptune sounds with the real drum tracks and instruments. It's a really cool mix of new and old.
And it's tricky, especially for something that's rooted very specifically in a certain style, because with Celeste it's that very chunky, pixelated, lo-fi art. It's very easy to kind of go in the 8-bit, chiptune direction or whatever. But I think a lot with Celeste actually is about sort of crossing mediums. There's the 3D mountain, there's the hand-illustrated UI stuff, and then the pixel art. Like, there's a lot of different mediums at play, and so I felt like we could do a lot more with crossing between different fidelities of instruments.